October 30th. 69. Cremona, in Italy, sacked and burned, 286 years after its foundation. 1270. The seventh and last crusade ended by the Treaty of Barbary. 1270. Conflict on London Bridge, between the retainers of the Bishop of Winchester, Beaufort, and the Duke of Gloucester. 1485. Coronation of Henry VII, 2 months after Bosworth Field, when was instituted the Yeomen of the Guard, consisting of 50 archers. Raged in London a malady called the sweating sickness, which terminated fatally in 24 hours. 1553. James Sturmius, a learned German ambassador, died. He contributed greatly to the reformation of Strasburg, where he erected a college, and assisted in the publication of a history of the Reformation. 1574. Mary of Cleves, wife of Henry I, Prince of Conde, died, aged 18, probably by poison. She was loved so ardently by the Duke of Anjou, afterwards Henry III, that when he came to the throne he determined to annul her marriage. But her sudden death intervened. 1602. John James Boisard, a French antiquary, died. He pursued his favorite study in Italy and the Isles of the Adriatic, but many of his materials were destroyed by the ravages of war. 1605. George Clifford, Earl of Cumberland, died. A celebrated English navigator. 1632. Henry de Montmorency, Admiral of France, beheaded for conspiracy. He distinguished himself by his valor, and was made admiral at the age of 18. 1655. John Selden, the learned English antiquary, died. 1680. Antoinette de la Porte-Beaurainen, a celebrated French enthusiast, died, aged 64. She was so very deformed at her birth, that a consultation was had about stifling her as a monster, but she early developed great powers of mind, became a traveling preacher, wandered about incessantly, and was expelled from many countries. Her reveries fill 22 volumes. 1732. Shipped for transportation to Virginia, 68 men and 50 women, fell in convicts. 1750. John Motley died, an English dramatic writer and historian of Peter the Great of Russia. 1760. Great earthquake in Syria and Barbary. 6,000 persons killed in Damascus. 1762. British King's ships Panther and Argo captured Spanish galleon Santissima Trinidad, from Manila, valued at $3 million. 1781. The Oneida Indians, part of Colonel Willett's force, defeated the British, Colonel John Butler, when that execrable savage, Butler, was killed. 1782. Anthony Terrasson, a distinguished French advocate, and professor of the Royal College, died. He wrote a history of Roman jurisprudence, and other works. 1787. Ferdinand Gallieni, a noble Italian writer, died. His genius and learning were employed on useful and practical subjects. 1793. 22 deputies of the French National Convention of the Girondists, convicted and sentenced to death. Tavalez, a lawyer, on hearing his sentence, with great sang-froid, drew a poignard and stabbed himself to the heart. 1802. Charles Alexander de Calonne, a French statesman, died. He succeeded Necker as comptroller of the finances. 1804. Samuel Ayscough, assistant librarian in the British Museum, died. He is chiefly memorable for his patient industry in arranging the collections. He published a catalogue of the manuscripts, and a catalogue of the ancient charters in that institution, the latter amounting to 1,600. 1805. Anquetil du Perron, a learned Frenchman, died. His death is also placed, by different authorities, in November and January. See January 15, 1805. 1808. John Whitaker died. An able English theologian, historian, critic, politician, and poet. 1810. Battle of Las Cruces, in Mexico, between the revolutionists under Hidalgo, and a corps of Spaniards, in which the latter were defeated. Battle of the Revolution. 1813. Sarah Rogers, a celebrated painter, died at Philadelphia. 1822. The Caledonian Canal, uniting the British Sea with the Atlantic Ocean, was opened. It is a great national work, but not much in requisition. 1822. Iturbide dissolved the Mexican Congress in the same manner as Cromwell dissolved the Long Parliament, and the same day formed a new legislative assembly, composed of persons favorable to his plans. This step was fatal to his reign. 1825. Charles Robert Maturin, an Irish divine, dramatist, and poet, died. His genius was great, but not always under the control of a pure taste. 1840. Earthquake at Zend, which demolished 240 houses in the town, and injured nearly all the rest. The villages and country houses of the island were destroyed, or greatly injured.